What up everyone, Clayton here, and today we're back with another Skyrim build. Today's build is called the Wight. The Wight is a Nord who is part of the Skald who live on the island of Solstein. One day when he was hunting around the Skald village, he ran into a back entrance to an ancient Nordic barrow. Inside a barrow he found an altar with a dragon priest mask on it. The mask belonged to Dukan, and he cursed it. Whoever wears his mask becomes his Wight and will do his bidding from the afterlife. When he put the mask on, his eyes turned white, and Dukan controlled him, making him do whatever Dukan really wanted him to do. The dragon priest made him go to Skyrim to find out why the dragons have returned, and to see if he could once again serve his masters. But when the dragon priest found out that the Skald was actually a dragonborn, he decided to use his power and become one of the most powerful liches in all of Tamriel. So this build is pretty much just an ice mage that uses light armor. It's kind of a role-playing. I understand that you can't really get the Dragon Priest mask at the start, so it's kind of role-play. Maybe you got your stuff taken away, but the Dukan, the Dragon Priest, still has control of your character, so he's still trying to do his bidding. So let's go ahead and talk about the skills before we get into anything else. The skills that you're going to be using for this build are Destruction, Conjuration, Restoration, Enchanting, and Archery. So for Conjuration, you just want to conjure anything to fight by your side. I recommend Frost Atronach since it kind of fits with the ice theme, since Dukan is known as the Ice Mage. Also, you're a Skald, which is your Nord, so you're kind of connected with ice and frost. Destruction, you'll be using ice magic. Restoration to keep yourself alive. Enchanting's really good to enchant your gear as well as your bow. And your bow is used as kind of a role-playing thing because he was a Skald hunter, so he's really adept with using the bow. So that's why you kind of have archery, and I would also recommend enchanting that with an ice spell, so you even get more ice damage. For the weapons and armor that you're going to be using, I use the Stall Rim Bow because I think it looks really cool, and it kind of fits with the ice theme since you're going to be an ice mage of sorts. For the armor, I just used the Skald Light Armor, which I made a video about it a couple years ago about how to get it, so I'll link it here if you don't know how to get this full Skald armor set, and you can see that there. Also, you want to use the Dukan Dragon Priest mask, because that's kind of how the whole build works. And I understand if you do not have the Dragonborn DLC, you're not going to be able to get to this stuff. So that just kind of sucks. If you don't have the DLC, you can't really do this build per se. So for the spells, they're pretty obvious. You want to use the frost spells. You want to have a healing spell to keep yourself alive. And you want to have the conjure Frost Atronach as something to fight by your side. To get in more depth with the spells, I like to use Ice Storm as your AoE spell and your Icicle Spear as your single target damage, as well as the Frost Cloak to just have on at all times, because in the Destruction tree you have a perk that allows it to, whenever an enemy is low, they will freeze and be paralyzed on the ground for a short amount of time with the Deep Freeze perk. So having that Ice Cloak on to make sure that anyone who's low gets frozen is really good, and I really like that perk. Also, there is shouts you can use. There is Ice Form and Frost Breath that kind of fit in with more of the ice magic, because the Dukan's mask actually increases your ice damage. So as much ice damage and frost damage you can get, the better, because you'll do even more and more damage. So I've kind of talked about how the gameplay really works with this character, but you just kind of want to have your Frost Cloak on at all times. You want to make sure you fire in spells. You can either do that with your Ice Storm or your Ice Spear, like I said before. And if you're not really feeling the magic or you're running low on magicka, just switch to your bow, which also does a lot of damage, and it kind of still fits in with the role playing since you get your ice magic from using the mask, and you have the bow as semblance of your old life as a Skald hunter. Hopefully this build makes sense to you guys. Hope you guys enjoy it as well. I really like this build because it has a lot of backstory, and like I said, if you can't get to these items, you can't really do this build. And if you really want to roleplay it, you can also console command to get those items, so you can start with those and kind of feel like you actually are that character, but you're not able to get this stuff until you actually get to Solstein, so it's kind of hard to really play it from the very beginning. You might have to wait a couple levels, grind it out, and then go to Solstein and get your equipment, but that's just sometimes what you have to do. But I really like this build. Hopefully you guys do too. If you guys haven't already, make sure to check out these two builds here, and yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. And it's Clayton, signing it.